in there on that cart, those cows pulling that ark, and the people of Bethsheba who thought, my goodness, the glory had departed. It had been like 20 years, I read when I was studying, that 20 years since the ark had been gone and the Philistines had it, and all of the stuff happened in the lives of the Philistines. They were wanting just rid of that thing, just get the glory or get the power of the God of the Israelites away from us. And then the people of Bethsheba, they rejoiced. We're about to find out here in a minute that they don't rejoice for long. Never meant for the Ark of the Covenant to ride on a cart. It was meant to be carried through those poles, or by those poles that went through those rings. And so they removed that, and they busted up the cart that was there, and they started a fire, and they sacrificed these cows. When I was reading this, I got to think, my first thought was, I don't know about you, but these poor cows. These cows never had a yoke on their neck. They put a yoke on their neck. These cows, they took their calves away. They were lowing or they were mooing. And as they went, they were in distress, but still they went in the direction that God had given them. They obeyed God better than we do sometimes. And they had went 10 miles up the road. When they got up there, my first thought was, well, they're going to be able to go back and take care of them cows. But they didn't. They broke the cart up and sacrificed them cows unto the Lord. If you look and you want to get real picky about it, you could go back and look in the law, and it says to take a male or a bull and sacrifice it. These were female cows. Nevertheless, God allowed it. And so they make this fire, sacrifice these cows, and then we read, if you back up and read it, we'll find that there was 50,070 men, I guess, opened that ark and looked in it, and God wiped them out. Now, when you study this, it says in the original, a lot of commentary says, and I'm just going to give you this little bit of information. The only thing I got to go of is what the Word of God says in my King James Version, which says 50,070 men were killed. A lot of commentary says in the original text, or in the Hebrew during that time, that when it was written, that it said 70 men out of 50,000 were killed. But I'm going to go on what I read in the King James Version that says 50,070 men were killed at that moment for touching the Ark of the Covenant, because I believe it's in the book of Numbers, it says that if anybody touch anything holy, they shall be killed. And so look at this, they disobeyed God, and they looked into the Ark of the Covenant. 50,070 men. Now, all of a sudden, these people of Bethsheba said, you know what? With the holiness or with God comes great responsibility. I don't think I want it no more. Is there something we can do with it? They went and hollered at the men of, I don't remember, the Kirith Jearim. They collared for these men to come down and do something with this ark. Here's the thing about it. The sinners or the Philistines who worship their idols, they wouldn't want anything to do with the power of God. And now his own people didn't want anything to do with the power of God, because it required great responsibility. It required commitment. It required direction or obedience according to the Word of God. My goodness, if you think about that, it's the same way today. Those people who are living in sin, they don't want nothing to do with the power of God. They don't want anything to do with committing to God. They want to live the way they want to live. They don't want to think about God or how He wants them to live. And my goodness, a lot of times, us people who go to church every day, if God gets a little bit too close to us and wants to turn our life upside down, that we may live a better life getting closer to Him, if conviction sets in, something that we want to run from when it's something we ought to run to, because it's God's love showing us, I want a bigger and better relationship with you, but you got to do some things or get rid of some things and draw nigh to me. And so when we look at it that way, what is it? A lot of times when God gets a little bit too close to us and conviction sets in, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I can handle that great of a commitment, or requires too much of me. And so we start to back away from the Word. When I first got to reading this, I'm thinking, my goodness, are them people crazy? They were mad and felt like the glory of the Lord had departed when the ark left, and then the ark comes back. They disobeyed the Word of God and touched it, and they died, and now all of a sudden, let's get this thing out of here. That's too much responsibility for me. It requires too much of me. We get sometimes. I know every day, I was thinking about when I stepped down from Kingtown and I ended up pastoring here, my first thought was, I don't want to pastor. I just don't want to pastor. God, I need about a few years to kind of figure this thing out anymore for a while. I took 2 months off, and I never will forget. And what was I saying? God had other plans. And when I said, God, you open the door and I'll walk through, the first place it called was this place, was Chad. When I said, God, thank you for the time off, I'm ready to go, this was the first phone call I got. What was I saying? I was saying the same thing as the people of Beth Shemesh. You know what? That requires too much of me. I just want to do what I want to do and do it in the measure that I want to do it. God, I'll preach for you, but just what about once a month? You know, that's kind of how we treat God a lot of times. Hey, God, you're getting too close. You're touching me too. Conviction, can we just take a break? I like the power under the power of God, but oh, wait a minute. When it gets too close to me and it requires great obedience and great responsibility, I say, okay, hold on a minute. Back up, God, before doing.